It was a busy month. The cases were piling up. Arson, robberies, etc. This was just too much work for one man to handle. I was feeling burnt out. Went back to my old habits and started drinking like a fish. A fish who's an alcoholic. I tried looking for answers at the bottom of a bottle. I should have looked at the side of the bottle instead. A sidekick would be a lifesaver, or at least they could pick up my trench coats. I posted ads all over town and started interviewing. It was tough to find a perfect match. Too young, too old, arrived too early, arrived too late. Pronounced my name NWAR instead of Noir. Said that his greatest weakness is that he's too perfect. Resume written in Comic Sans. It all made me thirsty. Finally, she walked in. Said her name was Blanche. She was an orphan whose parents were killed by mobsters. Trained as a cop and as a circus acrobat. Her jacket even looked good next to mine. Perfect sidekick material. But then I started coughing uncontrollably. She had taken out a cigarette. I told her to put it away. I can't work with someone who smokes. She said she was sorry. I said I was sorry too. She was fired. Looked like I would be on my own. Arson had moved to the top of my to-do list. It was the hot new craze sweeping the city, but I didn't think it was cool. 4 bars had been burned down over the past few weeks. I investigated the crime scenes. Buried in the remains of each one, I found splinters that seemed out of place. I brought them back to my crime lab and used high-tech science to piece them together, figure out where they came from. Eventually, I found a match. There was a logo on it. It looked familiar. They must have hired an arsonist to burn down their competitors. I was sure he was close. I was definitely getting warmer. I figured I'd have a drink while I waited. I had a drink. I kept waiting. I kept drinking. And then I started coughing uncontrollably. It was the man who had just entered. He smelled like smoke. His hands were covered in splinters. He was wearing a gas mask. It was him, the matchmaker. He ran. I was hot on his heels. I told him that he had met his match. He said I was just blowing smoke. We fought, dramatically silhouetted against the flames. There were slow-motion punches, close-ups of kicks. For a time, it was a dead heat, but soon he gained the upper hand. I was still a little tipsy from earlier, but then I was smashed, hammered, wasted. He smiled, I think, and ran out to the parking lot. I dangled above the flames. It was getting hot. I couldn't last much longer. And then, I felt my trench coat getting picked up. It was Blanche. I told her she shouldn't have followed me. She said she hadn't. She was investigating on her own. Gathered evidence from all the crime scenes and pieced together the bottom half of a match. I think I'd gotten enough secondhand smoke for a lifetime. I offered her the job. She said sorry. She won't work with someone who drinks. We agreed that we'd quit together. A clean slate. We'd take our vices and throw them away for good. I told her she'd make a great sidekick, but she said no. She didn't want to be an assistant. She wanted to be equals. Partners. I told her she was right. She earned it. She said, "Thanks, Mr. Noir." I told her to call me Phil. We would be co-crime fighters, a dynamic duo. When some teams come together, it's a match made in heaven. For us, it took a match made in hell.